J-Matt Wygand here with reviews from Purgatory, and this time around, Bastion, the rightly applauded indie game. So as you can see, it's a third-person game where you wander around as the kid using, like, the hammer here, or various other weapons. You have about a dozen or so weapons. They all have their own unique abilities and so on. The machete, the calamity gun, and the dueling pistols as examples. The wide array of weapons are one of the highlights of this game. One of the problems, though, would be the weapons system is a little questionable to me. You can only have 2 weapons at any time, and you can only have one special skill that you can activate. The good thing about that is that the game interface is really easy to learn. Really easy learning curve, you'll pick it up immediately. Now the bad thing about it is that you often will find yourself in situations where you'll get killed because you really could use one more weapon or one more secret skill so that you have a little more options when you're fighting. I usually play on a difficult level, so I could use more weapon options. And to be honest, you'll find in a lot of the missions that they include an arsenal that lets you change weapons just because they do force weapons on you, or you really do need to change weapons from time to time. But rather than let you do that automatically, they have to introduce the building periodically. So you'd have to go back to the arsenal and trigger it again. Switch weapons or whatever. While I'm on the subject of weapons, I would like to talk about the weapon challenges. Every weapon you find, there is a special place where you can train to try to get a prize. First prize is a special secret skill for that weapon. And these are either laughably easy or ridiculously hard. There's very little middle ground. This one here is a mortar challenge, and I beat this, got first prize in 2 attempts. Just 2. It was that easy. I accidentally got it. Now others, like this one here, are incredibly frustrating and are just irritating. They aren't challenges if you just beat your head against it and are unable to defeat it. You might say that, well, if you completely upgrade the weapons, maybe you'll win it. Still, even then, too much of a challenge because they're timed events. This one here, you have 27 seconds to destroy 100 objects. You have any idea how many times you're going to end up getting 28 seconds and just freaking out a little bit. You can use auto-aim to cheat at some of them, but most of the weapon challenges will be extremely irritating to you. Like this one here, the machete challenge. It's extremely difficult to kill everything in 60 seconds and get first prize. I just gave up on it and decided to continue with the main story. I just didn't care anymore. Another thing that bugged me in this game was the defend mechanic. When you defend with your shield, it automatically orients you towards one of your attackers. But if there's multiple attackers, you could orient towards the wrong one just randomly and be attacked by someone else from a different side. You can switch targets, but it would be awkward to do that. It's instinctive to just slam on the key for defense. I'd also point out, just sort of as a suggestion, if you do get this game, you should probably use a game controller, even if you're doing it on PC. It also comes on Xbox, a couple other platforms too. Anyway, the WASD, it's kind of awkward doing diagonal walking, which will happen a lot with this platformer. And you will fall a lot. But that's one of the good things about this game. One of the best things is it's really forgiving on falling. You will fall all the time, but you just, you know, come crashing back down and you hurt your character a little bit. It's pretty minor. It has an autosave system, which is a little bit irritating at times. It just autosaves when you accomplish things, and you only have one save game at any given time, so it'll be irritating if there's multiple people wanting to play this game at the same time. I say some more glowing things about gameplay. Look, like I said about Falls, it's very forgiving on it. And I really like their achievement system. You see this here? Most games have achievements these days. And most of the time they're completely pointless, you know? They don't do anything. These, every one of them is worth currency. If achievement systems existed like this in most games, it would be a lot better. I also really like the upgrades to the weapons, in the sense, not just that the upgrades are cool, but you can switch back and forth between them. You upgrade the level of the weapon, but you can switch back and forth between different upgrades, mix and match, customize every weapon as much as you like, without like paying extra or having your upgrade stuck in only one upgrade path. I love the way the world pops up and how you're on these platforms. Just all of the fighting is very fun and addictive. And I gotta say this, it's a challenging game. Now that will annoy you at times, but I like that. I like a game that is challenging. You'll die plenty of times and you'll keep on coming back for more. Trying to fight a little different, change your strategy. And they have this system with these deities in the shrine. You can invoke them and that just fine-tunes your difficulty level. Each of these deities, whatever you apply, they add to the difficulty of the game. There's one here, see that? All enemies that are killed, they are dropping bombs as they die. Sort of an act of vengeance, as it were. Anyway, you can fine-tune your enemies and fine-tune how difficult the game is. It is really challenging at times, and I like that you can adjust your difficulty level that much, and it is a taxing game, and you'll like it. You just have to learn how to evade a lot and try to counter with your shield as much as possible. Now, gameplay is probably the most important thing about any game, but plenty of them have had great stories over the years, and this is certainly one of them. Bastion uses a narrator.
She's gonna need a little help with all them pickers. Traffic things think they're king of the roost now. Rest of us only wish we could fly in times like these.
The kid, like a lot of video game protagonists, never speaks. And the narrator describes everything. Each level, he reveals a bit more of the story. Makes wisecracks when you fall or screw up or win a big fight. This narration works well in telling the story in a unique kind of way. All I will tell of the story is there was a terrible disaster called the Calamity, and it seems to have destroyed much of the world as you know it. And you, the protagonist, are trying to fix things. You have gone to the one safe haven left, the Bastion, which is a key part of this game. The very interesting home base you get to go to after every mission. Visually, the game is magnificent. The way the land comes up, the vibrant colors of so many of the levels, or the kind of darker colors and more volcanic maps or what have you. It's just beautiful. You can tell that the people who worked on this game loved what they were working on. I've been playing music this whole time in the background because I wanted to get to this point where I explain to you why I'm doing that. I did that because I wanted to show how music was important to this game and how it helped with all the other elements, the narrator telling the story, the gameplay, the incredible work of art level visuals. It doesn't matter about the resolution, it's how the visuals look stylistically. All of it comes together with the music to create immersion. This immersion actually reminds me of some older games. It reminds me of the original Diablo 1, which had this kind of immersion with music and lighting conditions and visuals. I was also reminded of the Heroes of Might and Magic series, because they also used music and visuals and like sound effects to create a total feeling of immersion where you just forgot where you were and you started thinking you were in the game. So the immersion and style of this game is incredible. Now, before I start wrapping things up here, as to replayability, there is a New Game Plus where you begin with all weapons and XP, new shrine idols, new distillery spirits, and all the Bastion structures unlocked and buildable in any order. There's also a score attack mode, which seems to be some sort of thing where, depending on how quickly you kill things, you have a higher score. And possibly more damage. I don't know. You can also just replay the dreams. So it's a fun game overall. You've got a lot of style here, and there's certainly great playability. The story is great, and gameplay could bring you back to play it again all over. Some things, like I said, irritate me, and will irritate you, I'm sure, but they're not that bad. See, ultimately, the good far outweighs those bad elements. This is a great game overall, and it'll probably be 20 hours of gameplay or so for you. It took me a bit longer because I kept repeating missions. I would die because I kept invoking too many deities. Really ratcheted up my difficulty level, so you might not take as long. It's a 9. It's a really good game, and I encourage you to check out this game. I haven't asked a question in a couple of reviews, so let me ask one. What is your favorite indie video game? A lot of endings in recent memory have been terrible. Mass Effect 3's ending, the most recent Assassin's Creed, Deus Ex Human Revolution, the list goes on. My point is, this one ends very well.